Namaste everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The current ongoing sessions are on Aparokshanubhuti, Advaita Aparokshanubhuti offered by Binduji. We are on the session number 15. All the other sessions are available on Clubhouse as replays, or if you go to the YouTube link provided in the chat, you can access all the earlier talks on Advaita Aparokshanubhuti. And there are other well-catalogued sessions on different Upanishads and other even recent gathering from a retreat that Binduji attended in India, in Mysore. So for this particular text on Aparokshanubhuti, there are two references. One is pinned up here. That is by Swami Vimuktananda. And in both these texts, you have one in the Swami Vimuktananda's text, you have just a translation, and the one in the chat is just the Sanskrit version from Acharya Vidyaranya. And Binduji has been using these texts to organize his flow of text for us to do the Shravana Manana. So please use those if you are interested in following through. So I'll close the chat and the hand raising when the session is on. And once the session is done, we have half an hour for engaging with Binduji with some questions if you have regarding the session or anything to do with Aparokshanubhuti classes. And with that, Binduji, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Admission. Welcome all. Let us start the 15th session. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsharshibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Puranana Malayam Garunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibeda Vipakine Vyomavatyapta Dehāya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aparokshanubhuti. Sri Harim Paramanandam Ubadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. So we completed verse number 33 in the last class, and we will take on the 34 from today. Kadam syad dehaka puman. How can this deha be the Purusha or the Atma? Is the question which is being repeated in the coming 3 or 4 verses also. Having done 3 verses on that, the next verse is Yasmat param iti shrutya taya purusha lakshanam vinirnitam vimudhena katam syad dehaka puman. Vimudhena vigata modabhavo yasmat tena vimudhena. One who has removed or got rid of mudha bhava, that is dullheadedness. So vimudha means the wise. Vimudhena means by the wise or the one who has realized. Yasmat param, there is nothing higher than that. Yasmat. So being in Napumsakalingam, here it is referring to the Purusha or the Atma or Brahman. There is nothing higher. Param means higher. Yasmat na param. So here actually it is referring to Shvetara Upanishad, which says that Yasmat na param. So, what is it? There is nothing higher than him. Higher means greater or more powerful, whatever way, the superlative thing which we can think. Same way, subtler, to show that the minutest were part of that. Or greater than this Purusha, who stands in the luminous sphere, supremely unique, immovable like a tree, is what here the sloka is being referring to. I mean, the sloka, no, mantra, actually speaking. So, in the Upanishad, very clearly it is being discussed in detail. Yasmat na param kinchit. The verse starts like this. Yasmat param na paramasti kimchit. Asmat aniyo na jyoyo asti kinchit. Vriksha iva stabdho divi tishtatyeka stanedam purnam purushena sarvam. The prose order is Yasmat param aparam kinchit na asti. Yasmat aniyaha jyayaha kaschit na asti. Vrikshaha iva stabdaha ekaha divi tishtati tena purushena idam sarvam purnam. So the Yasmat, from him or from that, param, higher than that, aparam, different from that, kinchit na asti, there is nothing. Yasmat mean again from that or from him. Aniyaha, subtler or minute. Jyayaha, greater. Kaschit na asti, there is nothing. So both sides, greater or subtler or minute. Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan. It is in another way. Kathopanishad has mentioned this. Then it is the greater of the greatest and the subtler of the subtlest. Vriksha iva stabdaha means vriksha iva, like a tree. Stabdaha means immovable. Like a tree which is not moving from its position, this also, it is greater of the greatest, subtler of the subtlest, yet it doesn't go through any changes. That is to indicate the vriksha iva stabda. Eka divi, ekaha means one without a second. Ekameva dvitiyam. Divi tishtati means it stands in the divi, in the sky. Or divi here, it is not sky, it is in the space which we have to take, means beyond space. The space also stays inside it. Tena purushena idam sarvam purnam. Tena purushena. Now here the purushena is to indicate such a purusha. Puranat purushaha. One which is filling everything is purusha. Puranat purushaha, that is the way in which it is being used here. Tena purushena means the purusha which is so described earlier, like anoraniyan, mahato mahiyan, and immovable. Such a purusha, idam sarvam purnam. Idam sarvam means is to indicate the whole world or whole universe. I referred that, aham and idam are the two ways in which the whole world is explained. So here, idam sarvam means includes aham also. Purnam means Purnam. One gets filled by that. So Purusha fills everything. This is the same expression which is being told in we saw that in the Ishavasya Upanishad also. Ishavasyamidam jagat, Ishavasyamidam sarvam, yatkincha jagatyam jagat, tena tiktena bhunjida, ma ghritak kasya siddhanam. So there also, Ishavasyamidam sarvam. So we saw that this explanation being used by the Upanishads in multiple places. So what is being now referred was the ninth verse, so ninth mantra of third chapter of Shvetashvatara Upanishad, for which Shankaracharya has not written any commentary, but there is a commentary which is ascribed to him, which is not accepted by the traditional people. So Shvetashvatara Upanishad is one very important Upanishad because Shankaracharya quotes Shvetashvatara Upanishad in Brahma Sutra many times. So it is recognized as a major Upanishad. At the same time, there is no available commentary by Shankaracharya on that. So here, Yasmat Param is referring to this verse, this mantra from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Iti taya shrutya, the shruti by this, in this shruti, Puruṣa Lakshanam Vinirnitam. Puruṣa Lakshanam, the nature of the Purusha or the description of the Purusha. Vinirnidam is how it has been described or explained in the Śruti, Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Then, how can the Deha be taken for I am the Deha, I am the Purusha, I am the Deha, Kadam Syat Dehaga Puman, is the question which is being repeated here also. Now, Vidyaranya Muni has very clearly, distinctly mentioned it. Evam yuktya dehātmano vailakshanyam uktva śrutya api aha yasmat iti. Now, thus having already explained the distinction between the body, deha, and the self, atman, through reasoning, which was in the earlier three verses which we saw in the last class. Now he is taking up Śrutya Yuktya is the words we have when Yukti has been completed. Now he is giving reference to Śruti in the next three verses. So to that only the Shvetashvatara Upanishad mantra is being quoted. Yasmat param na param asti kinchit, yasmat aniha na jyayaha asti kinchit, vriksha iva sabdha divi tishtati ekaha, tena idam purnam purushena sarvam. So, iti taya prasiddhyat, and also Taitriya Shrutya Kritva. In the Taitriya also, there is the famous statement in this thing, where the Purushasya Atmanam Lakshanam Vimudhena Shrutya Purushena Atmanam Atmanaha Lakshanam. Purushasya Atmanaha Lakshanam. The characteristics of the self is Vimudhena, by the wise men. Shruti Artha Vivechana Kushlena. Skillful in making discernment of the true import of the Shruti. Iyam Kartari Tridiya, that is a grammar part of it. This is there is spoken, this is be taken as a agentive instrumental and Kartari Tridiya. Vinirnitam Vicharya Sthapitam. Mean established, Sthapitam means established, Vicharya, by logic. Vinirnitam is as firmly resolved. Anyat purvavat. The rest of the shloka is that katam syat dehaga puman. Now there is another reading to that alternatively. Yadva shrutya iti kartrapadam asmin pakshe vimuthena iti dehātma-vādinam prati sambodhanam. So if you take instead of the kartari tritiya, kartrapadam asmin pakshe, shrutya, so dehātma-vādinam prati sambodhanam. So this is then there it is instead of that, that's addressing to the who wrongly identifies the body as the self. That is why kadam syat dehaga puman vimutanam hi swamin murka shiromanitvad eva shrutim na adriyase iti bhavaha. Because they don't consider Veda as a valid document. Therefore, they are shiromanivat, like murka shiromanivatvad, like the height of the foolishness. How can you consider the body, which is with all opposite qualities of the Atma or the Purusha, be considered as the self. So this is the 34th verse. Now 35th verse is a continuation from that. Sarvam Purusha eveti Sūkte Puruṣa Samgide api uchyate yata śrutya kadam syat dehaga puman. Now he is referring to Rig Veda here. In the Rig Veda, there is the 10th chapter, 19th canto, 2nd mantra is that Puruṣa evedam sarvam yat kincha jagat. Puruṣa evedam sarvam is the mantra, is the part from the Puruṣa Sūkta which he is referring to here. From the continuing from the previous verse, he is yataha śrutya Puruṣa Samgnide Sūkte api Puruṣa evedam sarvam eva idam sarvam iti uchyate tataha kadam syat dehaga puman. Therefore, he is saying that because in the Rig Veda also, Puruṣa Sūkte, in the Puruṣa Sūkta, this verse, Purusha eva idam sarvam. Purusha alone is all this, verily all this. So, which is against referring to the same meaning. You know what Ishavasya told or the Taittiriya has been mentioned, or Shvetashvatara Upanishad has mentioned. Now in the next verse he is referring to Brihadaranya Upanishad, also the same. All the three verses in this thing you will find that the Upanishad is very clear that it is the whole world or the whole world of experiences or the whole universe is Purusha. Other than Purusha, there is nothing else. Is Puranat Purusha, is filled with the Atma or the Satchidananda Rupa. Therefore, Purusha eva idam sarvam is also in the Puruṣa Sūkta is also indicating to the same meaning of the previous Shvetashvatara Upanishad or Taittiriya. Na kevalam anaya ekaya shrutya vinirnitam kintu anyaya api iti aha sarvam iti. Now he is referring to the other verse from yataha hato shrutya vedakya paradevataya Purusha eva idam sarvam iti. Now through the Veda which speaks of the supreme deity, the Paradevata, there he is that is the Puruṣa Sūkta what he is referring to. Purusha eva idam sarvam iti. It is that what is there from the Puruṣa Sūkta. Purusha Sanjite Sūkte api uchyate. Even in the Sūkta or hymn, where he is called the Purusha, he is being referred there as Purusha. Purusha eva idam sarvam. So, if you really look into the Puruṣa Sūkta, there also you will find that the same thing is used by the Rig Veda. Why you will find that? Just a minute. It is a Sahasra Shirusha Purushaha Sahasracha Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishwato Vrittva Atyatishtat Dashangulam. The Purusha has 1,000 heads, the 1,000 eyes and 1,000 feet, which signifies that innumerable point through which omnipresence is being mentioned. Sabhumim Vishwato Vrittva Atyatishtat Dashangulam. He envelops the world from all sides. Vishwato Vrittva Atyatishtat Dashangulam. Represented by the 10 fingers, extended beyond the 10 directions. Though 10 fingers are for 10 directions. Ashtadik, surrounding 360 degrees, and top and bottom includes the 8 plus 2, 10. So Dashangulam is to indicate to all the 10 directions in which he is extending. That this self in me is extending to all these 10 directions. Purusha eva idam sarvam yad bhutam yacca bhavyam udamritatvasyeşanaho yadanne natirohati. So, this is the second mantra where this particular line is appearing. Purusha is indeed all this, in essence, that which is existed in the past, present and future. So even for the time, it is Purusha is the one which is filling that. It is the presence of Purusha because of which we are experiencing past, present and future. Udamritatvasyeşanaha yadannena tirohati. Everything woven by this immortal great Purusha, by becoming the food of which yadannena tirohati, the immortal essence through the surrender, one transcends the gross world and becomes immortal. This is the second mantra. That the Puruṣa Sūkta itself is a big one. If time permits or an opportunity comes, like the Nasadiya Sūtra, we will revisit this one, because this is the first place in the Rig Veda where an Advaitic thought is very crystal clearly explained. So it is not that Advaita was started by Shankaracharya, it was there even in Rig Veda, and this is in the 10th chapter, 90th segment where we see that. So here also, Purusha Lakshanam iti Purva Shlokat adhyāhāra. Puruṣa Sūktam. So Ata Katam Syat iti Purvavat. So here also, if this is the nature of Purusha, which is filling everywhere, then how can you think this Deha as the Purusha? You are not the one, you are not the Deha anymore, because Deha is a thing which you can observe, or for the Purusha to be to subject and object thing. Then comes the 36th sloka, which is referring to Brihadaranya Upanishad. Asangaha Purushaha Prokta Brihadaranyake Picha Ananda Mala Samslishtaha Kadam Sya Dehaga Puman. Apicha, also in Brihadaranyake, in the Brihadaranya Upanishad, Purusha Asangaha Proktaha. Purusha has been referred to or declared as Asangaha, unattached. Proktaha means said. Tataha Ananda Mala Samslishtaha. Ananta means innumerable. Samslishtaha means besmeared or, covered with. or embedded with. Mala means impurities. This body, like the flesh, the blood, the pus, the fluid, the secretions of tears, saliva, urine, feces, everything is impregnated with innumerable impurities. And how can you think that that body is you? And whereas you have been said that you are unattached Purusha by the Brihadaranya Śruti, which is in the 4th chapter, the dialogue between Yajnavalkya and Janaka, 15 and 16 mantra on the 3rd subsection, where it is mentioned that, Sava yesha yetasmin prasade rattva charitva drishtaiva punyam cha papam cha puna pratiyanyāsyam pratiyonyan dravyati swapna eva sa yat tatra kinchit pasyati anvagatastena bhavati asangohyayam purushaha iti evametat yajnavalkya soham bhagavo sahasram dadami ata urdum vimokshayaiva bruhi iti. So Janaka tells to Yajnavalkya after enjoying himself and roaming and merely seeing the results of good and evil, punyam papam cha charanti. So what is that? He stays in a state of profound sleep, then comes back in the inverse order to his former condition, which is the dream and the waking. Even when he is moving between these three states, he is untouched by whatever he sees in those states. For this infinite is being unattached. This is a sasangoya ayam purushaha. This is what Yajnavalkya tells Janaka. That this Purusha or the Sakshi, having gone through the punya and papa of both waking and dream, goes to the, what is that word used by? Samprasanna is the word used here. So, samprasade, etasmin samprasade ratva charitva drishtaiva punyam cha papam cha. So, through the punya and papa of the waking and the dream, he is now, himself stays in the state of profound, what we call it as sleep, but it is the highest serenity, actually speaking. In the waking state, the man gets impurities like punya and papa due to the innumerable activities of the body, mind and intellect and organs. He gets some joy by some discarding, some expectations, some desires, etc. And then he gets a part of that in his dream. But in the profound sleep, he gets the highest serenity or the happiness. Sati sambadhya na vidhu sati sambadhyamahe. In the Chandogya Upanishad, 6th chapter, 9 sections, 2nd mantra, where it is said that having become one with the Sat, we became pure existence in our deep sleep, untouched by anything what is happening in the world outside or to our body or anything for that matter, the individuality or even ego. We remained uncontaminated, untouched by those things. And then he gets back reversing order to the dream and the waking again. Even to show that this characharam, this gadagatam, not characharam, gadagatam, coming and going between dream and waking and deep sleep, do not contaminate him or do not touch him. That is why he remains, even in his waking and dream, the Purusha is untouched by the thing. What is being touched is the Deha. Deha means body, mind, intellect. That is the one which is going through the Punya and Papa of our experiences. So the Punya and Papa is experienced by the body, the mind and intellect and the body-mind complex, whether it is waking or dream. But the Purusha, in whose presence these things appears to be happening, is untouched by that. Therefore, here also in this mantra, in this one also, aparaya api shrutya evam eva nirnitam asangaha iti. Asango hyayam purusha iti. Brahadaranye Vajasaneyi Upanishadi. In the Vajasaneyi Upanishad, which is the Brihadaranya Upanishad, Shukla Yajurveda, there is that word Asango hyayam purusha. Purusha Asangaha Prokta. Purusha has been declared as Asangaha, means unattached. Dehakattu Ananda Mala Samsrishta. This body is contaminated by countless impurities and limitations, and which is the one which is going through Punya and Papa, both in the waking and the dream. That is that the bad dreams are the Papa, and merry, happy dreams or sweet dreams are the Punya. But it is all only happening in the mind and the body. The Purusha, the awareness or the Satchit, in which presence which this is happening, whether it is in the waking or in the dream, that Purusha is uncontaminated, untouched, whether Punya comes or Papa comes. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, Sukha dukkhe sami kritva labha labho jaya jayo, when he talks about the Sthita Prajna. So if that being the case, the Deha is the one which is going through the Punya and the Papa, which we know. So how can we think that Kadam Puman? How can that be the Purusha? You are the Purusha. You are the awareness. You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not the intellect. You know the body, the mind, the intellect. The knower of that, the awareness in which these things appear and they are functioning. How do you think that you are that? Is the question which is being asked here. So, referring to various Upanishads, like starting with Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Taittiriya, then Puruṣa Sūkta in the Rig Veda, and now in the Brihadaranya. And then comes the 37th sloka, which is again from Brihadaranya Upanishad. In the 4th chapter again it comes. Again the discussion between Yajnavalkya and Janaka. Tatra eva cha samakhyataha swayam jyotihi tarhi purushaha jadaha paraprakashoyam katam syaddeha puman. Tatra eva cha. There again, Tatra means in the Brihadaranya Upanishad, Eva, alone, again, Purusha swayam jyotihi iti samakhyataha. Clearly states, samakhyata means very clearly, crystal clear, undoubted, we're removing all doubts of Janaka. Yajnavalkya is establishing that the Purusha is Swayam Jyoti. So this particular section is called Antarjyoti Brahmana in this Brihadaranya. Antarjyoti means this Swayam Jyoti, self-luminant nature of the self. So, how can the body be the self-illuminant? It's insentient, jada. It cannot illuminate anything. Only in the presence of the Purusha, the body appears to be functioning. So, Deha is not having any capability, whether it is the mind, intellect, or anything for that matter, is not having awareness. Please be very clear about it. Mind doesn't have awareness. What awareness we are seeing in the mind is what you call, the wrong word which is used is reflection, but it is not even reflection. It is like the example which is given in the Shastra is that the redness which is being picked up by a crystal in the presence of a red cloth or a red flower, the crystal is never getting contaminated, but we say the reflection of the flower because of which the crystal is becoming red. The crystal is not getting contaminated by the redness which is nearby its presence. Same way, the mind is not having awareness at any point of time. The awareness is only of that of the Purusha, the Chit, Sachidananda Purusha. But the mind presumes that it has awareness. It is in the mind that knowledge is taking place. All those feeling is being now transferred onto the mind, iteretara adhyāhāra. This is the word mutual, the superimposition. What quality of awareness to know things? It is not knowing, actually speaking. It is only enlightening, swayam prakasha. But that is now being superimposed on the mind and saying that the mind is the one which is knowing. The mind cannot know. If mind is knowing, the mind which is jada and present in the body during deep sleep should also be able to know what is happening. But that is not happening due to the mind is not able to see the presence of the Atma there. But it's only in the state of existence without any presence of awareness seen. So what happens is that we do not know what is happening in our deep sleep. The ego is not there, the mind is not functioning, the intellect is not functioning. Whether the body belongs to us or not, even that is not known. There is nothing other than pure existence. Same thing in the Kathopanishad, also in the Bhagavad Gita saying, Tatra suryo bhadina chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoya magni tameva bandam anubadi sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. So where it is mentioned that, the Surya, the Chandra, or the moon and the sun, etc., all of them are appearing to be shining and giving their presence. But all the presence is known only because there is what you call the presence of Atma. Tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. So that is what we have to understand. Only when the Atma or the is present, or in the presence of Atma, we can say that the sun becomes sun, the moon becomes moon, the lightning, even the fire becomes fire only because this self-awareness is in us. In the absence of this self-awareness, we cannot know the nature of Atma or Brahma, the nature of the objects which are there in the world outside. That is why the Swayam Jyoti, but it doesn't need anything else. That is the one which is present in the deep sleep, because of which we know that we know nothing. Not because the mind is present. It is that awareness. But the reason why we do not know we are knowing nothingness in the deep sleep is that there is no activity of knowing there. It is difficult for the mind to conceptualize, visualize, or even imagine what state it is that. All of us go through the experience of deep sleep in our day-to-day experiences. But what happens? We have no knowledge of any sort. What is happening to us in our deep sleep? So, what we do is we assume certain things based on our experiences of waking, thinking that I knew nothing. But actually speaking, can you say that we knew nothing? Things are available only in the waking and the dream. To say even that I knew nothing is not really possible there in the deep sleep. So for us to make any assumption or even a mental imagination of the state of our deep sleep is impossible for us. That is why there is a lot of confusion about the different explanations given in the different Upanishads about the state of deep sleep. But the only Upanishad which deals in threadbare and gives us a very full picture about it is Brihadaranya Upanishad. In the Brihadaranya Upanishad, we have the full picture about deep sleep in one full chapter, where that Ajata Shatru and Balaki is discussing about it. So, if we want to know what is that discussion, we have to wait till the Brihadaranya Upanishad comes. We will deal with that when it comes to that. But for the time being, the Swayam Jyoti, what is being told, the Antar Jyoti Brahmana of Brihadaranya Upanishad, is dialogue between Yajnavalkya and Janaka, again on the same topic. So here, Vidyaranya is also not wasting further time on giving the explanation in his commentary. Tatra eva anya prakarena api dehātmanoho vailakshinyam nirupitam idhyāhāra tatra eva. Tatra eva Brihadaranyake ityartaha. So atra ayam Purusha Swayam Jyoti iti. This Purusha is self-luminous all the time. Not tatra eva. Ayam Purusha Swayam Jyoti bhavati. Swayam Jyoti Purusha samakyaha hi iti. Explicitly declared that the Purusha is Swayam Jyoti, not the Sharira, not the mind, not the intellect. Vidyut prasiddham dhyotayati. This is the recognition attained by the jnanis or the wise people about their own self. Therefore, the Sharira or the body, mind and intellect, asau ghadadivat drishyaha, like a pot which is separate from us and it is an objectifiable thing, this body is also seen. I see my body, I know my intellect, I know my mind, I know my emotions, I know my thoughts, I know my feelings, I know my logic. Everything is known to me. I am the knower of even events happening in the mind. That knower is not as an action of knowing. There is no kriya in the knower. The reason why? Because it is Swayam Jyoti. Like the sun, the presence of the sun, every living being gets up with their duties and activities in the world. Whether the birds, early birds, to even the night owl, which comes out when the sun sets. The life is going on in the surface of the earth because of the presence of the sun. Even during the absence of the sun for the night or the nocturnal birds, it is the absence of the light from the sun, not the absence of the sun. Please understand that. They are able to see, we call them nocturnal, but for them, it is the absence of the sunlight, direct sunlight, but they also have the reflected sunlight from the moon, the stars, etc., with which they are able to leave their light in the night. So it is the sun, the presence of the sun, which makes the life happen on the surface of the earth. Same way, it is this Swayam Jyoti which makes the knowing possible. There is no activity of knowing, but the knowing possibility happens because of this presence of the. That is why in the dead body no knowing is taking place. Asau ghadadivat drishyaha. Ata eva paraprakashya. It is not, therefore it is illumined by something else that is not self-luminous. Which one? The body. Tata eva jadaha. Therefore it is inert. Kadam syad dehaka pumaniti vyakyatam is the final question which he is asking. How can you say that you are the body? These set of verses which we studied from the beginning, Kadam syad dehaka puman, are the verses which we should remind us every day in every activity that why are we identifying ourselves with our physical body? It is not just by listening this for 1 hour we will be able to get rid of our association with the dehātma-vādin. We need to do the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana to such an extent that the conviction has to come to us that we are not the body, mind, intellect complex, but we are the Atma, the Purusha in the body. And it is my Swayam Prakasha, because of which the body is able to function, the body is able to undergo the activities. The punya, papa, everything is on the body level, not at me. I am untouched by that. Nothing touches me, even though I have the knowledge of everything that is happening in the dream and the waking and even in the deep sleep. I am untouched. Tebhyo vilakshana sakshi chinmatroham sadashivam. I am that pure awareness beyond these things. Now, the 38th verse is taking a different subject altogether, even though it is related to the body only. It is 10 minutes early. We'll stop today because I don't want to jump to that subject today and then continue with the remaining slokas again with the same topic. So, 38th verse, we will take it in the coming Wednesday. Proktovi karma kandena hyatma deha vilakshanaha nischitya tatphalam bhunkte deha padad anantaram. So that topic we will take it up on the next coming Wednesday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnāt Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Another very deep session, Binduji. Thank you very much. So I'll open up the chat and the hand raising. We have an extra 10 minutes today. So we have 40 minutes of interaction with Binduji. If you're interested, please come up. And anything to do with Aparokshanubhuti is open for discussion. Yes, the hand raising is open now, and the chat is also open. So if you have any comments, you can put it in the chat. And just a reminder for those who have joined a little bit later, the earlier sessions of this is available on YouTube if you want to listen to all the 14 sessions. Or you can use replays in Clubhouse, but YouTube is better cataloged. And Bindoji has been doing this for us, to do the Sravana Manana. Okay, the hand raising is open.
If nobody is coming, then I'll take leave early. You can rest.
Sure, Bindoji. Shall we give it a minute or so?
Yeah. We'll wait.
Yeah.
Hari Om, Binduji.
Hari Om Vedat.
Binduji, there is one area I wanted a little more detail from you.
Go ahead.
Purusha referred in Puruṣa Sūkta. While the Shetashra Upanishad and Pramāṇa, they do Vilakshana. They describe Purusha as Vilakshana. But whereas in Rigveda, Puruṣa Sūkta, it took that universal body. It has the way the whole Puruṣa Sūkta goes in with the Lakshana. Did I get it right? Or here, do you see the Vilakshana here also in Puruṣa Sūkta? So I just need more.
Yeah. See, this is exactly why Advaita is confusing to a lot of people. Apparently contradicting statements. One side it says that sarvam khalu idam brahma. And same say it says neha nanasti kinchana. Or one side they said sahasra shirusha purushaha sahasracha sahasravad. Sabhumim vishwato vritva atyatishtat deshankula. Puruṣa Sūkta beginning. At the same time he says asangyo hayam purusha. Why this two contradictory statement is because it is Purusha only which is available all the time. And if you are seeing anything other than Purusha, then you are not understood the Purusha properly. The reason why it has to say both these sides aspect is that it is unattached one side and the other side it is pervading everything. Now, the best example we can take is space itself. Space is pervading everything. There is nothing outside space. It is pervading everything. At the same time, nothing can contaminate space. what we say contamination of the space is polluted. It is not the space which is getting polluted. It is the air in the space which is getting polluted. The space remains as space also. So when a subtler thing, subtler than the space, from which the akasha is sambhutaha, from where the akasha is born, it has to be finer than the akasha. At the same time, it has to be mahat, greater than the akasha. And at the same time, since it is pervading everything, it has to be the subtlest of the all. Even its space is there even inside an atom or a quark or whatever may be the minutest part which we can think of. It is inside that also. So it is inside, it is outside. While being inside and outside, it is neither getting contaminated by the presence in the inside or outside. At the same time, everything inside is this, including the space is inside this. So when it is being mentioned both ways, our mind will find it difficult to understand this. That is why the easiest example which we can take is space, but this is something which includes the space within itself. And that is why tasmat etasmat atmana akasha sambhutaha in the Taittiriya Upanishad 2nd chapter when we started it. That is how it started. Which very clearly says that we cannot mentally imagine or conceive what is that Atma or Brahman. That is why the opposite terms are being told. Anuraniyan mahado mahiyan. Sa bhyahya bhyandaro ajaha. Other apanipado javano grihida pasyatya chakshustya shrunotya karna. All those things are where that he is seeing without the eyes. He is hearing without the ears. He is walking without legs. He is holding without the hands. He is grasping without the hands. So this is one way it is saying. At the same time, it is also saying that bahya abhyandaraha. It is inside and outside. Ajaha. It has no birth. Therefore, there is no death. All these type of things are being told is that mind cannot conceive this awareness in any pattern which the mind want to think about it. It is not something which you can model it. It is not something with which you can bring a pattern to it or conceive it in mentally. That is why yet manasana manute yenahur manomatam. It is not that which can be conceived by the mind, but with which the mind becomes potentially capable of minding. So netam ititam upasate. Not what the way you have understood it is what that Upanishad says. So all those things are very clear that these opposites are required so that we stop mentally conceiving Atman or Brahman in a certain fashion. That is why vilakshanaha, avyavaharyam, achintyam, ekatma pratyasaram, prapanchopashamam, shantam, shivam, advaitam. All those terms which we are used is only to get our mind not to percolate or precipitate and give an imagine to that.
This is clear, Bandarji. Is this to do with because our philosophies are not philosophies; they are darshana. The seeing can be without any lakshana. It is not a physical eye. The seeing was even Ishavasya Upanishad. The seeing with lakshana, seeing without lakshana. Is this the seeing that is getting discussed? That Aparoksha is the title there. That Aparoksha that whatever that perceived, without senses, can be this way also, can be that way also. Is that the seeing that is getting uncovered here? What is the...
Yeah. That it is not the seeing by senses. It is not apprehending by the mind. But you are the one knowledge personified. And in that knowledge only it can shine, not in any instrument. To show that only these opposites are being shown, that it is not that it cannot be known, but yet sakshat aparokshat brahma. It is sakshat aparokshat. Now the two terms which I have told this many times, sakshat and aparokshat are apparently opposite. You are able to sakshat, you are directly perceiving it. Aparokshat means it is pratyaksha and sakshat. At the same time, you have to understand that it is not with the sense organs. That is why the word aparoksha is used. Otherwise, the word pratyaksha should be would have been. Yet sakshat pratyaksham brahma is not the way in which it's said. Yet sakshat aparokshat, why is that it is saying that brahma? Because pratyaksha means immediately the mind will start thinking that it is with the sense organs or with the mind we can conceive. Therefore, to negate that, we have to say aparokshat. And that is why the darshana term, which is what we think is seen, mantra drashta, we call that one who sees the mantra drashta. But he doesn't see the mantra drashta, he doesn't see the mantra as written or typed or as lipis in the alphabets. He sees the meaning of the mantra in his awareness. That when he brings out through his mind, it becomes shabda, vak. Till then it is not vak. So you should know that Vaikari and Madhyama, Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikari, all those formats in which the mantra becomes pratyaksha to us. So if one has to know the real meaning of a Upanishad mantra, it is not what you hear through the ears, not what you understand through your mind, but beyond your mind and the ears, there is a being or swamshikaranam. That knowledge becomes you, not your knowledge. You become the knowledge. That is what is the darshanam, what we are talking about.
I think, Midoji, that sakshat aparokshat now has a life to it now, the way you put it now. The contrasting setup is helping to see, not through senses, but inner eye, can call it inner eye. The darshana now become alive. Thank you for this shift. Thank you.
Thank you, Venkat. Anybody else?
Midoji, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Prakash.
So this, when you began with Aparokshanubhuti, you talked about the Vairagya and Viveka and how that is placed in, and then you addressed Viveka and Vairagya. So I just want you to bring that into the context of this Purna and Purusha concept.
See, Viveka, Vairagya are the fundamental requirements for your chitta shuddhi or for your sharpness of your mind. Only when you have that detachment from your worldly desires and thoughts and, pangs of life, what I call it as, the problems of life which is haunting us all the time. That is the time when you have to take out your mind out of that or intellect out of those problems. This is what the Vairagya will help us to do that. Only such a mind which is capable of putting them aside, let the problems wait. The solution is not in firefighting the problems, but I need a permanent solution for these problems. That is the time when you turn towards Aparokshanubhuti or spiritual life, and where you start looking, am I the body or the one which is going through the problems in life? Or am I the one who knows that the body is going through these problems? If you can detach yourself from the body, Katam syad dehaka puman, the question which is being asked by Shankaracharya, how can you be the body? The question is to detach yourself from the body. And the body is the one which is in the world transacting, going through the punya, papa, or the sukha and dukkha, etc. Only when you can do that through vairagya, your viveka will become focused or sharp enough so that it is not riddled with, the frequent problems which the body is going through. So the detachment toward the body and the body functions, which I am saying body means body, mind, intellect. And that when it is capable of doing that, focus your mind or focus your intellect in detaching the association which we think, who am I, with the body. That is the one which will really help us in understanding the intricate and deep meanings of the verses which we are studying. Otherwise, these will become weird words and language and intellectual gymnasium for people to ask, various type of questions and answers, never get focused. Where are these questions coming from? Or to whom are these questions concerning to? Those things will never get answered. That is why the Viveka and Vairagya are very important for this path.
Thank you, Binduji. Thank you. I guess if there are no further questions, you can take an early break and convene back on the next. Yes.
Yeah. Sunday we'll have the open house where you can bring all the other questions, and think about the time which I've told you. After August 10th, most of the answers are trending towards 6:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time for the classes to continue Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Whether to have an open house on Monday or whether he will have the Aparokshanubhuti continuation, we can decide it later. But right now, as it looks like that, the timing is trending towards 6:30 a.m. IST, Wednesday and Friday for Aparokshanubhuti. Monday, 6:30, whether it's an open house or Aparokshanubhuti, we'll decide based on the first one or two classes. The other things, because you can announce and then.
Yes, definitely, Binduji. So as we get closer to that clarity towards those dates and times, we can put that in the house chat, and we can, that way people can remain updated. Otherwise, our next session is an open discussion on Advaita with Binduji on Sunday at 8:30 IST, following which we'll have the next class on Aparokshanubhuti on Wednesday. So as always recommended, please go catch up on some of the replays and do some Sravana Manana, because as we're getting deeper into the contextualized based sessions, to place your attention carefully, I think you need to do some Sravana Manana, which I do it all the time. So again, a heartfelt thank you to Binduji and for all of you to have participated in this satsang. and see you on Sunday. Over to Binduji. And thank you, Artemisia. I know you're busy with something there, but thank you again. Over to Binduji.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Artemisia. Arjun Kumar has put a question in the chat. If my own heart is my enemy, shouldn't I cut it out and throw it into the fire, sir? Yes. The fire where your heart can be thrown is not the physical fire. It is the fire of knowledge. Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurati Arjuna is the statement which Arjuna was told by Krishna. That is where you have to do that. So try to acquire more and more knowledge about the truth. Any other knowledge about the changing world is changing. The knowledge also will change. The knowledge which doesn't change is the knowledge about the truth. Satyam. Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. That is the nature of the truth, and that is why it is called Satyam also. Tat Satyam. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu is what Shvetaketu was advised by his father, Dalaka, Aruni. Okay, we all see you on Sunday. Open house. Hari Om. Good night. Namaste.
Good night.